Hey guys, Rich from Rich Mid Gaming. Hope everyone is doing fantastically well. Now in this video I want to talk about something that unifies most board and tabletop gamers out there. Whether you're playing Marvel Crisis Protocol, whether you are playing Star Wars Legion, whether you're playing a Lord of the Rings game, or whether you're playing Star Wars Imperial Assault, and that is tokens. They are in almost every single board and tabletop game that we play, and when we get them, they usually look something like this. They are cardboard push-outs, and they don't look particularly good, and also they're really susceptible to becoming damaged over time, which just, takes away from the aesthetic of the game. Now head over to Etsy or any of the other sort of crafting websites and type in 3D custom tokens for whatever your desired game is, and you're going to find lots and lots of options on there of providers who create these resin or plastic printed tokens. And I have to say that from personal experience, these are really good quality, but they are quite expensive. And if you're only playing one game system, then that's absolutely fine. You may be able to go out there and afford to purchase some of these tokens for yourself. However, if like me, you're playing multiple game systems, you can end up with tokens. Lots. And lots. And lots of tokens. And purchasing all of these from a store like Etsy would run into the hundreds, if not thousands of pounds. So, is there another way? Well, the simple answer is yes. We can very easily turn a token that looks like this into something that looks a lot more premium. You can see we've got the black edging on there, and hopefully you can see the sort of reflective on the light. Looks far more premium and is going to last a heck of a lot longer than these normal tokens. And the way we do that is by using this magic little product. So then guys, what are we going to need to turn these tokens into something a little bit more premium looking, and I suppose more importantly, just making them last that much longer, or really until the end of time? So the first thing we're going to need is a nice flat board to work on. I'm just using this little, as you can see, very little crafting sort of mat here that I've got. Needs to be nice and flat there as well. Secondly, we need something to be able to file down the tokens themselves. Now you could use sandpaper, you could use a metal file. What I found works really well are just a normal emery board, really super cheap to pick up. We need some blue tack. We need a permanent marker Sharpie pen. Now you can use whatever colour you want. It may be that you want to change the colours of some tokens to differentiate them. Personally, I like black on all of mine. That's what I've been using, so that's what I'm going to go with for these ones as well. Old brush. Make sure it's old, guys. What you're going to be using it for, you don't want to be using your best size 3 brush that you use. This is a really old war game or regiment painter one even. Any sort of gloss or any sort of varnish that you've got. I'm just using Technical Hard Coat from Citadel just because it's the one that I've got. There is a Mod Podge that you could use as well. We need the Mod Podge itself. So this is dimensional magic. It comes in a number of different sort of tubs and things. I found that this one, because it's got a really nice little applicator piece on the top, works really well. Really key with this, guys, is to not don't shake it. It says on the back as well, do not shake, but you don't want to get air bubbles in this at all. And then lastly is you need the tokens that you are going to be zhizhing up, as they say. So I'm going to just use this Power 3 token just to show you exactly what it is we do. These are a little bit bigger, so they're a bit easier for handling. But the first thing we need to do is prime this and prep it. So the way that we do that is we've got our emery board here, and all I'm going to do, and focusing on the areas, if you see around here where it actually connected to the cardboard, you can run your hand over and you can feel that it's rough. So all I'm going to do is just simply run it down the edge of the emery board. Doesn't take too much to get it nice and smooth. Try not to go too far over the edge because you don't want to bleed into either any of the designs on the front or back. But if you do, the next stage will help us get rid of some of those little nicks if you do make them. So really nice and gently, don't apply too much pressure, just go around and make sure we are left with a really nice smooth surface. And then just make sure you get rid of any excess on there as well. And I can feel the top bit there still isn't quite done. So a couple more little scrapes and there we go. That is ready for our next stage. I'd like to thank the sponsor of the channel, Elysium Wargames. You can find them at elysiumwargames.com, link down in the description below, where you can find all of your favourite hobbying products, including, of course, Marvel Crisis Protocol at fantastic discounts. They also run a whole bunch of events, most of which, if they're Marvel Crisis Protocol related, you can expect to see me at as well. So for our next stage then, we're going to be using our Sharpie or any other marker that you've got. We're going to twist the token onto its side and we're going to very carefully just go around and fill in all of the edges. And again, making sure that if we did go a little bit too far over when we were sanding or filing down that edge, we can just tilt it ever so slightly and make sure that we fill in all of those bits, because it looking black is going to look better than having a bit of the exposed cardboard on the top. So we go around all the sides there, making sure we've filled in all of the parts. Be careful, make sure you don't go over. I'm typically doing these, or when I did do mine, I'm doing these in batches, so we didn't have to worry too much about drying time. But this permanent marker, it's only going to take 2 or 3 minutes at the absolute most before you can start handling it again. So the next stage then is going to be I'm using technical hard coat, but again, you can use any sort of varnish, whether it be matte or gloss. I like gloss. I think this has a nice finish to it. Again, using your old, very old brush. We don't be using any new brushes for this. Again, turn it to its side and using the side of the brush, we're just going to go around and all we're going to do is just put a single layer of the hard coat. We don't need a lot. It's just really to protect that edge, because we're not going to put in Mod Podge around the edge, and just to make sure that the black doesn't wear away and that this basically isn't exposed to anything. This will take a little bit longer to dry, so just leave it flat whilst it dries. Again, give it 2 or 3 minutes and it should be absolutely good for the next stage. Okay guys, so we've left our token. We've given it about 5 minutes to dry, and this is the point now where we're going to apply the Mod Podge. So just a couple of things about this. First of all, you need to make sure that the area you are working on is level. If not, when the Mod Podge cures, it is going to cure and it'll be ever so slanted. So this will, this won't look particularly good. You want to use a tiny little bit of blue tack. And the reason we want to use the tiny amount is we want to keep it in place on the board, but we don't want this to be raised up too far, because if not, if there's too much on, it could slant one way or the other, and again, that's not what we want. So nice flat area. I want to make sure that the area you're doing this in, there's going to be no dust. Any little bits of dust or anything like that, so like workshops and that sort of thing, the dust in the air is going to get onto the Mod Podge, and as it cures, you'll get these little speckles on there. So make sure you're in a dust-free area, pet-free area for the best results. And again, before we open this, I know as sort of hobbyists, the first thing we expect when we pick something up is that we want to shake it. Make sure you do not shake this. If you shake it, you'll get air bubbles in, and the air bubbles will leave a very, very poor finish. Unfortunately, if you do get air bubbles on, the only real way I've found of sort of making it work is just to wipe it off and start again. So take off the lid, and then you can see here, I like to do is I like to turn it upside down, get rid of any bubbles that come through. So you can see there's a little bubble there. Just use a bit of kitchen towel or blue roll, and then basically start from the middle and then just work your way to the edge. Now we don't want a super thick layer on here, and I'm not actually pressing down as I do this. I'm just letting gravity feed that in. And what we're looking for is, as you can see now, we've got this sort of milky consistency, but we can still see all the way through to the actual token itself, and that is about right. Now, you could leave this here, but what I found is I like to make sure it goes all the way to the edges. So again, using that old brush, what I like to just do whilst it's still completely wet is just work that around. Now, what you want to make sure with this is that your brush is completely dry. You don't want to be using a brush that has got any water on it, because if there's water on the brush, obviously that will not react well with the Mod Podge. It won't cure and it won't set properly. But actually just push it all the way to the edge. It will just settle nicely. It will just keep itself there. And it says about 3 hours for it to cure. I think we're putting on a little bit more here than what you would normally use this for. You could put a thinner layer on if you wanted, but I like a thicker layer. I've sort of found between 5 and 6 hours it's ready to do it. And then once it's completely finished and completely cured, all we do is we flip it round and we start the process again. So you may also be wondering, well, Rich, is this just too time consuming? Is it going to be as expensive as going out and buying the tokens yourself, because this stuff is really expensive? Well, I'd say absolutely not. I picked up one pot of this for about £7 in the UK, so you're looking at sort of between $9 and $10 USD, and I was able to do all of these tokens with them. So we've got 2 large tokens, about 90 medium-sized tokens, so they're the objective tokens from MCP, and about 90 small tokens as well. Now, in addition, I did try to do this tracker, but as you can probably see from the light, it did not leave an even finish at all. If I hold this at a certain angle here, you can see there are parts there where it is most definitely not looking particularly good. So for anything bigger than a token that you want, Mod Podge is absolutely not the stuff. And I picked up a whole bunch of these from Coggo 2 the other day for an event that we've got coming up, and I would absolutely recommend something like this if you're looking for something bigger, because it just doesn't work when it's a larger surface area. In terms of time for the whole prepping process, so for sanding down each of them, for marking them off with a black marker, for putting the first set on, and then coming back and redoing them again on the other side, I probably spent about 4 hours in total to do those almost 200 tokens. But it was really nice and easy. I popped on a couple of podcasts while I was doing it, and the time flew by very, very quickly. And it's actually something I found really, really therapeutic. So lastly then, guys, is a comparison of the 2 types of tokens that we can do. So we've got our homemade tokens here, and then we've got some from Coggo 2 that again I picked up for an event that I'm running at the weekend. Now, as you can see from the close-up, they both look really, really good. The tokens that we've made ourselves, I would say, are probably a little more shinier. However, overall, I would say the Coggo 2 tokens are an overall better quality. They're going to last significantly longer. But really, this wasn't about trying to replicate what those guys can do. It was about trying to create something en masse that we can do with all of our tokens. Because having gone through and added up all of my Imperial Assault, my Marvel Crisis Protocol, my X-Wing, my Blood Bowl, Lord of the Rings, 2 different sets of Lord of the Rings games, loads of expansions, many other games that are going to be coming in the future, it would be running into the thousands and thousands of pounds to be able to get tokens for all of these games. And in some cases, tokens are just not available. They do not provide them for those particular games because they're a little bit more niche. So this is a really nice, easy way of being able to make some of those assets for those games that you've got last much longer, stand that wear and tear that you often see when people, especially with tokens, they, you pick them up and you're using them all the time. So they do get wear and tear. They do, start to fray at the edges and those sort of things. This real simple process is going to make these last much longer. They're going to look really nice. And yeah, overall, I think it's a really worthwhile thing to do. But as always, guys, let me know down in the comment section below. Do you agree? Do you think it's worth the time? Have you tried something other than Mod Podge yourself that you can recommend? There will be a link to this down in the description below so people know which one I've used. It's not an affiliate link or anything like that. I don't get anything back from it, but just so people know what I've used. But yeah, let me know down in the comment section below. Remember, we've also got our Marvel Crisis Protocol Discord server up and running now, the Savage Lands, in partnership with Aaron from Web Warrior Protocols. So head on over to our Discord to join other like-minded players of Marvel Crisis Protocol. We've got a general chat, we've got roster discussion, we've got a hobbying channel where you can show us your finished painted figures. It's a great community and one that is growing every single day with new members finding out about it and coming on board. So guys, as always, it leaves me with just enough time to say stay well, keep safe, and until next time, bye for now.